What's up, Liron here, and today we're going to talk about how to plan our paintings. What's up, Liron here. Thank you for joining me in this video, and today I want to talk to you about how to plan your paintings. Now, I want this video to be a little more casual, a little less formal, so I'm not going to worry about moving you around the studio, showing you some stuff. This painting that I've been really hyping up for a while now, so I'm finally finished with it. Now, because it's a rather large piece, I get to show you a lot of the preparation process that I did in my sketchbook prior to starting to actually work on the final piece, aside from the fact that I also have pictures of the entire process of this, okay? Now, what I want to do is show you how I prepared myself to tackle such a piece, and I'm also going to show you something really unusual, and that is, you can see here, this little guy. I don't know if you watched the relatively new Spider-Man film, Into the Spider-Verse. So we have this guy, Miles Morales, and I also am planning on doing a large painting of his and the gang, all of the different Spider-Man, sorry, spoilers, or whatever. But in any case, so now you have a nice opportunity for me to show you a preparation and a final piece, and then another preparation for which I still haven't done the final piece, okay? So let's get started. I think I'm gonna take us over to the desk, and I'm going to show you this up close, and then alongside it, how I got prepared to do it. So let's go there. So here it is in its full glory. I got a lot of good feedback for this one, mainly just because I put a lot of work into it. I wouldn't say necessarily this shows improvement, but rather this is just me putting a lot of hard work into one particular piece, and I really like everything about it. The first thing you want to look at is the large shapes. So we have this main shape of building and shadow that creates an interesting L, and then we have these buildings in the background that kind of connect to it, and then we have two negative shapes, which is this sunny street and this strip of sky. Regarding the details inside the different sections, so this is a lot of things in the shadow. Try to abstract it. Hopefully this is clear that these are motorcycles. Here we have a person eating their shawarma, by the way, that's what it is, or it's falafel, I'm not sure. And all of the bicycle here parked. Hopefully that makes sense as well. I'm still learning how to abstract these kinds of things and still make it look good and believable. And then here we have a bunch of people that are kind of pulling us into the distance of the painting, and they're layered behind by a crowd, a huge crowd of people. And if you look at it really up close, it's tons of people, and it's just very simplified. It's a lot of different one brush stroke that's even, and I just left some gaps. The building itself, I really like how the details turned out, and then we have these. So now I showed you enough of the painting. Let me bring my sketchbook. Let me bring it with me, and I'm going to show you exactly how I got ready for this. Okie doke, so here is the sketchbook. Now, I didn't do an awful lot, but I just did enough to understand how I want to approach this. So this is the very first sketch I did. Originally, I planned on having a car here, that you can hopefully see here, but I ended up not putting it in. So here I established the main way I want to structure the painting. So I've got the L shape, the buildings, go into the distance. It also shows to a rather accurate degree the values in the final piece, okay? Now then I decided to do an even smaller one because I wanted to look at this as abstract shapes, and I wanted to figure out if it works abstractly without any details. So I did this tiny sketch, and I found out that I like the way it looks. I like, remember, two negative shapes. One of them is abrupted by tons of people. Not tons, but some people here. And the other one is the sky that's a little cleaner, but it is kind of cut through by these light poles or whatever these are. After doing these two, I then focus. What I usually do is just focus on one part and try and sketch it to see how it goes. So I sketched this building, as you can see right here. These bunch of people from the center of the crosswalk, and then this building here that I also wanted to make sure I get the awning to look right. Okay, so I just choose some random areas of the scene to make myself more familiar with. Now, of course, the second one I'm going to show you with the Spider-Verse is going to be a little different because we have a lot of centers of attention that are the people. So I'll have to carefully study each and every one of them. But this is basically all I needed to really get started on this one. Now, I did want to make sure that I know how I paint it regarding the technique. So I did this tiny, and it's really a tiny swatch sketch. And this has everything in it. Again, if you compare it to this shape, you can see it conveys everything. The one thing I like more about this one actually is that I made the darks a little darker, as they should be. But if we zoom out, check it out, such a huge difference between the two. This I wanted to use to figure out how much warmth to put in the first wash, how the different shapes are going to be constructed. And these kinds of small thumbnails really help with the bigger pieces, okay? You really want to make sure you do that if possible. Another tip I'll give you is if you're going to tackle a large piece, and a large piece is harder because you just need to work faster to fill in all the areas. Even with larger brushes, you still have to work faster at times. What I will suggest is that you start with a small one, then do something that's a little bigger, like double the size, then do something that yet again is a little bigger. Carefully build your way up to a larger painting, and you'll see that it actually works. Like if you do a small one, then a little larger one, it's a bit of a hassle because you do the same painting essentially 4 times or maybe 3 times, but it works. So I would suggest that. So now I'm gonna clear everything up and we're gonna do the spider thing. So there we go. So here is my reference. I've got the spider gang. Every one of them. I really love the characters of this movie if you haven't checked it out. Plus I'm gonna talk about some nerd stuff around the end of this video. But in any case, I started this with this kind of sketch, and if you notice, it really does convey just the essence of the scene. As you can see, just the light and shadow, we have the 2 windows, and then in the front all of the different characters. And with this I did barely any guidelines, it was really quick. And then I decided I want to focus on some of the characters. Now the easiest one for me was this guy, Spider-Man Noir. The reason why is because it's just black and white. It's very sharp contrasts. If you look up close, you'll see it's very sharp contrasts. So this is the first sketch I did, you can see here. And again, just really light, not too, not too detailed. I just wanted to get the essence of it. And then I focused on Miles, the main character right here. Now, Miles is, I didn't get his face exactly right, but this was the whole purpose of doing this study, so that I can know where I mess up. So the nose is a little too long, the entire face should be a little more squeezed, the mouth should be a little farther from the nose. Probably I just should have brought the nose more upwards. But it is a rather good representation, so it is, you can tell that it's him to some degree. And again, the final painting I'm planning on is a painting, it's not a sketch. But doing these pencil sketches can really help you become familiar, because then when I come to paint this after I sketched it, it's going to be much easier, because I'll be like, oh, I remember how the nose looks, I remember how the eyes look, I remember the expression, I remember that Spider-Man Noir had all these intricate details in his face. So this is really, really important to get things right. So now that you've seen how I started planning this, I will keep you updated over the next few days, and hopefully you will enjoy the final result. Hopefully I will like it, because I don't know, it's a very complex scene, and I usually don't paint this style in watercolor, so who knows. But in any case, this is it. Now I want to say a few final words and we'll wrap it up. So I hope this gives you a better understanding of my process of simplifying a scene, learning how to tackle it, maybe even in multiple mediums. Even if I'm going to do a pencil sketch, I may do a study in watercolor because it's quicker at times. So there's a lot of fluidity to that process. I would say it's very personalized. You can do it in whichever way you want. But I would say that just getting a value sketch, like I've shown you, where you do the black and white thing, is enough, because then you get the drawing right, you get the values accurate, and then you can even refer to it in the final painting. You can even go back to your own sketch and figure out what was working. Another really important thing is these small tiny thumbnails, because this really allows you to build a composition, figure out how you want to show everything before you start committing to small details, because everything has to work modularly. I don't know if I can say that, but within every unit here, it has to work inside it, but also with the entire unit and how it fits in. So when you have people here, you should connect them to this shadow. These people here under the building, you should connect them to this shadow. So everything has to work together, and the larger the painting is, the more complex it is, the more options you have, the more details you have to put in so it doesn't look barren and empty. So these are all really important things, and hopefully that makes sense to you. Now, along the lines of this Spider-Man thing, I wanted to update you. I don't know how many, like, I'm a 90s kid, so I grew up with all the Pokemon and all those stuff, and now they are actually making a new game for the Switch. Now, I talked to some of you about Breath of the Wild, The Legend of Zelda, and how it was absolutely crazy for me to have that game because I grew up on the old Nintendo 64, and I assume some of you are as well. If you know nothing about video games, sorry, this last bit won't be too interesting, but Pokemon is doing a new game. It's called Sword and Shield, a new, let's say, series, because it's 2 games. So I will probably do some paintings of Pokemon. It's going to be very different. It's going to be probably much more cartoonish. But if I do base it on the 3D models, it can look a little more real and maybe more challenging. So who knows? I want to share more stuff from my life, more of the nerdy stuff, nerdy side of things that I don't have a lot of time to do. I don't have any time to play video games, but when I do, I use that to the max. I try to. So this is another thing, because Spider-Man is also kind of cool. The movie, by the way, if you haven't checked it out, you have to. It's so good. The animation is excellent. It's like a comic book, but in film form and video form. The soundtrack is awesome. The story is really good as well, so I highly recommend you check it out. Maybe I'm a little late to the party, I don't know, but a really good one. So you can expect some really cool things, maybe some changes. And this is it. Let me know in a comment below what you thought of this and if you found this helpful. And again, if there's a specific aspect you want me to focus on for a future video, let me know. Oh, I also wanted to say really thank you for the reception of the last video with the Barg statue, the portrait, in which I showed you using the 3 secondary colors, how you can create a nice feeling of 3-dimensionality. I really want to thank you for that. The video is doing good, and I think it's starting to surpass my average kind of views. So I'm really grateful for that, and I'm trying to make more of these kinds of videos that I know you will really connect with. Okay, so thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you still haven't, and I will talk to you again in another vid real soon.